NFL draft nerds, welcome in to Rogue Football. Today, we are looking at my NFL draft winners. The 2025 NFL draft is in the books. It was a marathon and a sprint covering the draft, but I've got my winners, and these are the teams that I thought did the best job of taking a step in the right direction. And for some teams, that means fixing an issue or an area of your team that was faulty last year. For some teams, that means completely laying a foundation on one side of the ball. Maybe you were a team that wasn't very good last year. Maybe you were a team that had a lot of cap space and a lot of draft capital, and you used it wisely. There's a lot of different ways that teams can take step forwards. It kind of depends on where you are in your build as an organization. But we're going to dive into these top winners from today, and I've got pulled up here the Athletics draft rankings by Dane Brugler, and we're not going by those draft rankings. We are going by just kind of the organization here that Dane Brugler put together for these draft classes. It kind of lays it out very neatly and concisely, and I think it's just easy to digest. But my first team I wanted to talk about, and this is in no specific order, the San Francisco 49ers. And they're a team that obviously has had Super Bowl aspirations. They've been at the top of the league. They've had ups and downs throughout the Kyle Shanahan era. They were one of the worst run defending teams last year that you could imagine. And taking Mykel Williams and Alfred Collins to start this draft, Mykel Williams, in my opinion, was the best run defending edge defender in this class. Alfred Collins was by far the best run defending interior defensive lineman in this class. Then you go get Nick Martin as well and Upton Stout. I'll tell you who Upton Stout reminded me a lot of Malik Mustafa. And now they're both on the same team. And Upton Stout's listed at cornerback here. I think he'll play safety too for them. Those two guys, they just run and hit like absolute demons. And so then you talk about adding CJ West to that interior defensive line. And CJ West, to me, he went in the fourth round. He should have been a top 100 pick. He should probably have been a top 75 pick, top 80 pick. And you now have three stalwarts up front that can defend the run. And one of the things I love about the value of Mykel Williams, he's not dropped in and being asked to be the number one edge rusher, the number one pass rusher from the jump. He gets to go and play with, obviously, one of the most talented rushers in the league, and Bosa, right? And so I think this group, the defensive line group that they added, really special. Again, I also love Upton Stout for them. I love Jordan James for them. So there's just a lot to get really excited about with this draft class for the San Francisco 49ers. And I thought that they really corrected one of their biggest issues. Not only, bringing Robert Saleh back, I think is huge for them. He's been their best defensive coordinator, I think, him and DeMeco Ryans. But getting these defensive players in there for him is a huge deal. And then my next team I wanted to look at is the Jets, a team that over the recent years, has really struggled at a lot of different positions, including quarterback. Justin Fields, they're hoping, can kind of be that guy for the next couple years at least. But I loved the idea, and I called Armand Membu to the Jets because Aaron Glenn obviously comes from Detroit. He's a defensive coach, right? But he knows, based on what the Lions' foundation was as a team that they built off of, the offensive line, he knows how valuable the offensive line is. They went and got Olu Fashanu last year under the previous regime. Instead of saying, oh, well, we got a left tackle last year, we're good, whatever. No. Doubling down, fortifying the trenches, Armand Membu at right tackle. I love it. I love it for the Jets. And then Mason Taylor, I think, is going to be a tremendous tight end in this league, a balanced tight end, somebody who can really impact both areas of the game. And then getting Azareye'h Thomas in the third round, who I know didn't run the fastest, but Aaron Glenn, he's going to want to play up at the line of scrimmage. He's going to want to play press, and Azareye'h Thomas is the best press corner in this class, even with the perceived lack of athleticism, because he's got great press technique, he's got great length, strength, and even though he might not have the best pure long speed, he is fluid as an athlete. And I know that maybe he couldn't cover Tez Johnson out of the slot at the Senior Bowl, but that's not what he's going to be asked to do at the next level, right? It's up, physical, at the line of scrimmage, hit your opponent in the mouth, disrupt them from the very start, and then that's going to allow that Jets pass rush, because you're delaying the ability for the quarterback to get the ball, and it's going to allow the Jets pass rush that is potent to get upfield. Then you got Arian Smith, who's a speedster. That's a lot of fun. Obviously, he has drop issues, but if he ever cleans that up, I mean, that could be a home run guy. Malachi Moore, I thought, was always underrated in this draft class. Kind of played that star position at Alabama. Not the same level as Brian Branch, but somebody who I think can help your football team in the secondary as a versatile player for sure. And then I thought Tyler Barron in the 5th round was a very good value. He has the potential to be a guy that can get upfield and disrupt from the edge position for sure. My next team I want to look at here, I know a lot of people aren't going to like it, but it is the Kansas City Chiefs. Getting Josh Simmons, who was a top 10 prospect on my board, and that's how I view it. I know he has an injury, but that's supposed to be recovery going well. Josh Simmons was the best pure left tackle in this class. He also has experience at right tackle. Best pure offensive tackle in this class based on his traits, his game tape, his mindset, his demeanor. I love it all. Josh Simmons to the Chiefs is exactly what the doctor ordered long-term for them. And now you might say, well, they went and picked up Jalen Moore and they have Jawan Taylor. That's true. This is the exit ramp for Jawan Taylor following the 2025 season, and that is going to clear up a ton of cap space for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that over the next few years, it's going to be Josh Simmons and Jalen Moore. Again, after Josh Simmons gets healthy and after they're able to move on from Jawan Taylor, get out from that contract that they never should have inked in the first place. Yeah, they're going to have a nice situation at tackle, assuming Jalen Moore can play. And if he can't play, you've still got, this year to get it figured out, and then maybe you address tackle again next year in the draft, whatever it may be. Obviously, they're expecting Jalen Moore to play well considering how much money they paid for him, but I think Josh Simmons at 32 is just insane value at a position where the Chiefs have needed a fortify for a long time. I think they've done that now. In the 2nd round, going and getting Omar Norman Lott, who is incredibly disruptive, explosive off the ball, can complement, in my opinion, Chris Jones really well and kind of make up for some of the attrition that they've had on the defensive front over the last few years. I like that a lot. Ashton Gelati is one of my guys in this class. If you've been paying attention to the channel, I talked about Ashton Gelati a lot. He's kind of viewed as this undersized in terms of the height and the length, but, powerful, not the best athlete. Well, guess what? He actually tested really well athletically. He reminds me a good bit of George Karlaftis. And now they're going to be playing together, playing opposite each other, and just crushing the pocket and helping Chris Jones and Omar Norman Lott get home. And I think all these guys are going to work in tandem together. Ashton Gelati can set a hard edge as well. And then Noel Williams, one of these big physical guys at corner that just kind of seems like a Steve Spagnuolo corner. Easy to see that one. And he's got a lot of ball production, physicality. So I think that's going to help them out tremendously. And it keeps going. I liked every pick the Chiefs made. Jalen Royals at 133 in the 4th round is unbelievable. I thought he should have been a borderline 2nd round, definitely 3rd round pick. What am I missing with Jalen Royals? I know he had the foot injury, but guess what? He came back from that foot injury. 149-10 split at the combine in the 40-yard dash. Explosive, good with the ball in his hands, good in contested catch situations, consistent hands. You're letting the Chiefs get that type of guy at 133 who can take the top off the defense and also a good yak threat? That's a mistake by the NFL. And then Jeffrey Bossa, to me, whenever the Drew Tranquill contract is up, that's your Drew Tranquill replacement right there, for sure. I know you have, obviously, I love Nick Bolton and Leo Chenal and the roles they play, but I think Jeffrey Bossa in the 5th round was a great value. And then Brashard Smith in the 7th as well. You get that speedster back, runs a 4.39 40-yard dash, a very explosive playmaker out of SMU. This is the type of draft the Chiefs needed, in my opinion. I think that, this offseason, they have done so much to clean up the offensive line, the tackle issues. And then to go get Omar Norman Lott, Ashton Gelati, Noel Williams, and Jeffrey Bossa to shore up that defense. And then you add Jalen Royals and Brashard Smith, these explosive playmakers. I know the rest of the AFC West got better, but I think the Chiefs had one of the best drafts in the league. And they did it from the 32nd pick. Next team up is actually the first team, right? Tennessee Titans. I thought that they had a really, really great draft. Cam Ward with the number 1 pick. He was the only quarterback in this class who really, in my opinion, has that ability to be a franchise, definitely top 10 potential, but maybe even higher than that, top 8, top 7 in the league with his playmaking ability, his upside. Cam Ward, that was the pick that they needed to make, the swing they needed to take there. And then going and getting Femi Oladejo, another one that I've talked about at edge a ton, converted down from linebacker to edge for UCLA, has the energy, has the traits, has the tape this past year. His arrow is pointing up. Kevin Winston's arrow is pointing up as well. They were able to get him in the 3rd round, a tremendous value for him just because he's coming off of an injury and didn't really get to play much in 2024. But somebody who probably could have elevated themselves even into the 1st round conversation at safety, definitely into the early 2nd had he not gotten injured this year. Getting in the 4th round, Alec Iomanner, I thought he should have been a day 2 pick easily, probably a top 50, top 60 pick. Canadian wide receiver, another one who I think his arrow is pointing squarely up, getting Gunnar Helm in the 4th round, probably just because he had a little injury and didn't test very well at the combine. Got injured before he ran and then didn't test very well. But Gunnar Helm is one of the most balanced, consistent tight ends in this draft. I thought Chimera DK maybe a little bit early, but when you look at what he did at the Senior Bowl, his physical traits, he's fast, he's long. I think he can get down the field and complement Cam Ward. So I really like what you did with these receivers. Jackson Slater was one of my guys late in the draft. Another guy who did great at the Senior Bowl, has that interior offensive line versatility from Sacramento State. So love all that. And then I really loved getting Xavier Restrepo, Cam Ward's top target at Miami, in undrafted free agency. I mean, I think the Titans had a draft that should really be prosperous for them for a long time. And it all hinges on Cam Ward, obviously. But hey, I think that they made the right swing, and I think that they're potentially a team heading in the right direction in the AFC South. Now, my next team, which may be the best, might be the best. It's up there. Just getting Malachi Starks at 27 for the Baltimore Ravens. How do we keep letting them get away with this? Malachi Starks should have been a top 10 pick. I know Mike Green has the issues off field, but purely from a tape perspective, and the Ravens are one of those organizations that can probably handle this type of situation with Mike Green, get him going in the right direction. Purely from the tape, I mean, he was a top 30 type of guy. Certainly a lot of people had him even a lot higher than that, just based on his pass rushing juice, violence, speed, etc. The Ravens are going to weaponize that, and that is 2 tremendous football players they got on the defensive side of the ball. And look, they now have the best safety duo in football. I think it's going to be from day one, Malachi Starks and Kyle Hamilton. Silly season. And then Emory Jones, somebody who kind of fell off for a lot of folks. I still thought he should be, borderline late day 2, early day 3, just based on his physical traits. And obviously didn't have the season at LSU that he wanted to have, that a lot of folks hoped for him. But he plays so tough, so physical, has that mindset where he wants to kick your ass every single play. And so he makes sense for me. I was a big fan of Teddy Buchanan coming out of California. I think he can fly around the field, make a lot of plays with his explosiveness and athleticism and leadership. Carson Vincent was one of my late round tackle prospects I liked a lot. Obviously 5 is not like super late round, but they ended up taking a swing on him because he's got the size that you're looking for to be able to play tackle. And then a couple of their late round guys I really liked. To me, I thought Aeneas Peebles could have gone early day 3. Obviously an undersized guy at 282 pounds, defensive tackle, but people just can't get hands on him. You can't stop what you can't touch. And Aeneas Peebles makes it very difficult for interior offensive linemen when you're talking about these pass rush situations. So they have a very big draft class and a very talented draft class as well. So good for the Baltimore Ravens. I loved what the Carolina Panthers did. And I called Tet to the Panthers, was able to call that one. Getting Nick Scorton, Princely Umanmielen, Trevor Etienne, Lathan Ransom, and Cam Jackson, and then Mitchell Evans and Jimmy Horn Jr. I mean, they stacked it, man. They stacked it. Tet McMillan is going to be that type of receiver that's really going to help out a young quarterback in Bryce Young because he comes back to the football. He attacks the football in the air, right? I love that. And Scorton, to me, has a balanced game overall. He was way too heavy at Texas A&M this year. That is Texas A&M's fault, not his fault. He was able to cut the weight immediately in the offseason, and then he looked really explosive at the combine. Go back to his Purdue tape in 2023, and this guy's still 20 years old. Go back to 2023 when he was a 19-year-old, absolutely dominating college football with his pass rush prowess, his run-stuffing ability, explosive, good size. He has really rare flexibility at his size, outside spin, inside spin, can win through you. I think Nick Scorton, the arrow is pointing up in a big way. And then Princely Uman-Mielen is one of the best pure pass rushers in this class, in my opinion. Trevor Etienne, a very explosive back, the younger brother of Travis Etienne, somebody who just underrated consistently throughout his collegiate career. Lathan Ransom, to me, is going to be a really good box safety in the NFL. I like his game a lot. He's physical. He's aggressive, explosive downhill. Cam Jackson, a big space eater on the inside who brings some pop, some violence with his hands. So good on the Carolina Panthers for the draft class they were able to put together. Now, the next one might be a little controversial. Dallas Cowboys. I know fans are not really excited that they weren't able to pick up a wide receiver in this one. But I like these picks, man. Tyler Booker, this is a foundational piece to a football team. Tyler Booker is going to bring the edge. He is going to bring it so much on the offensive side of the ball. And I love the combination of Tyler Booker and Tyler Smith at guard, and then you put Cooper Beebe in the middle. Yeah, I'm still a little bit worried about their tackles. I am. But just become a power rushing football team. Obviously, you went and got Javonte Williams, who can run behind these guys, up the gut, in my opinion, with Tyler Booker, Cooper Beebe, and Tyler Smith. And Booker is a massive mountain of a man who wants to destroy your soul. He wants to snatch it, right? He talks about it all the time. I love just the tone that he's going to set for the Dallas Cowboys. And then getting Donovan Ezraku in the second round, he was the most refined pass rusher by far in this class. He had good length, good natural leverage. He plays hard. He's got a bag of pass rush moves. He's a good athlete. Getting Savone Ravel at 76, I think he was going to be a top 15 pick, top 20 pick at worst, had he not gotten injured, had he not torn his ACL. Then you go get Jadon Blue in the 5th round, who is an unbelievably explosive running back. He's going to be a playmaker for them. Get the ball in space to Jaden Blue and let him do the rest. Needs to clean up the fumbles a little bit, just like Bashal Tutin, who went to the Jaguars. But those two guys are really explosive. And then Shamar James, I was a big fan of him coming out of Florida as well. Somebody who showed the ability to cover and to diagnose at the Senior Bowl. So Shamar James, I like that pick for them. Johnny Cornelius in the 6th round is a good value. I think he can be a swing tackle. Jay Toy, a big physical interior defensive lineman from UCLA. Phil Maffa, you want to talk about running the ball up the gut. Being a power rushing team, he'll help you out with that. He absolutely will. I was actually watching some Cade Klubnik today, because I'm a sicko looking at 2026 quarterbacks. And yeah, Phil Maffa continues to stand out. And he's somebody I like throughout the process. Big, powerful back, has a little bit of explosiveness to him. Kind of like, some build-up speed, I would say. So like that a lot. Good for the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, maybe you need to add some receiving. But to me, this is going to be a team that can turn into that power rushing football team, and Revel just really perfectly fits with the group they have back there in the cornerback room. Looking at the next team I have here, the Las Vegas Raiders, another AFC West team. Ashton Jeanty with the 6th pick, man. I mean, that's the second best player in the class, in my opinion, so getting him there. Obviously, Pete Carroll has a long history of having some good running backs, and Ashton Jeanty is going to be maybe the best of them all. Shout out to Beast Mode Marshawn Lynch, but Ashton Jeanty is an absolute stud who is a great runner, physical, low to the ground, great explosiveness, creativity, contact balance, breaks tackles, has all the the moves and open field and stiff arm, spin move, whatever you want. Ashton Jeanty can hit it for you, but also pass pro and as a receiver, big time. And then Jack Besh, another guy who just brings it. I love his physicality as a receiver. Great hands, whether you're talking about contested catch or just anything open, and he's a dirty work player. He will bust his butt to make sure your football team is moving in the right direction. And then Darian Porter, I thought at 68, his athleticism, his length, his skill set, his special teams ability, all that stuff, it tracks in a big way. And Darian Porter looks like a traditional Pete Carroll cornerback. Getting Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant. I especially love Charles Grant getting those guys back to back, though. Charles Grant at 99, I think, is an extreme value. Somebody who I think projects to be a high quality starting tackle, athletic tackle in this league down the road. And there's some reports that they're not super happy with their tackle right now, so we'll see what happens there. And then some swings here that I liked. Dante Thornton, unbelievable combination of length and speed. Get down the field, make plays. Geno Smith can absolutely launch the football down the field. He likes taking shots down the field, so Thornton makes sense. And then going and getting Hemingway and Pegues out of South Carolina and Ole Miss. I like those two interior guys. Some swings on some small school. Cam Miller might be a wide receiver as well. I think I'm not sure how they're going to end up playing that out with those two guys, but a couple small school quarterbacks that maybe make your football team better in other ways. And then I thought Cody Lindenberg was a good way to round it out. Looking at another team in Florida. Look, I think the Jaguars were draft winners just based on the boldness. We don't need to get into that. If you want to talk more about the Jaguars, go check out Gin Jag, where I cover the Jaguars. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they come in pretty high for me. I liked what they did a lot. Not the biggest draft class, but I like every single player. Emeka Ibuka. I know that people are talking about, well, what are you doing? You have all these receivers. What's going on here? Well, first of all, Chris Godwin coming off injury. Second of all, Mike Evans up there in age. Neither of those guys are spring chickens anymore, right? And you went and got Jalen McMillan. Having a Jalen McMillan on my football team is not going to stop me from taking a player like Emeka Ibuka. And I think Ibuka and Godwin both have inside-outside versatility. You can be an 11 personnel team with all three of these guys on the field a lot. You can even get into, 4 wide, fully spreading the thing out with Baker Mayfield, and he's going to love that. Then you talk about getting Benjamin Morrison and Jacob Parrish. For me, I probably would have flipped it just because of the Benjamin Morrison hip injuries, but it doesn't matter. Those two guys are really good corners. If Benjamin Morrison is healthy, which is a big if, great. But Jacob Parrish, to me, if you just landed him at corner, you'd be in a good spot. I think both of these guys can play at an extremely high level. And if you get Benjamin Morrison, that's the cherry on top. Healthy Benjamin Morrison. David Walker, for me, a really fun edge rusher. I like the fit with the Buccaneers. Short in stature, low to the ground, great natural leverage, but plays his butt off, over 260 pounds. He can rush through you. He can really create havoc just because he is a change-up, a type of guy that not a lot of tackles are used to seeing consistently, and he brings it in. Elijah Roberts is a really good edge rusher out of SMU, somebody who can compete to potentially get some reps and make the team. And then rounding it out with Tez Johnson in the 7th round. To me, Tez Johnson going in the 7th round, I know he was 150 pounds soaking wet, but that's a value. That is a screaming value. You just can't pass it up. Final couple teams here. A couple teams who played each other in the Super Bowl not too long ago. Los Angeles Rams, and then we'll get to the final team it's the Patriots, which that's the team that kind of everybody's talking about. But Los Angeles Rams, to me, I really liked this. Terrence Ferguson, a really balanced tight end. He's a good athlete, but he can get it done in the blocking department and as a receiver. I think he's going to be a really good utility player for them. And I just loved Josiah Stewart for the Rams. Like, this is such a Rams pick. Such a Rams pick that I thought James Gladstone, who came from the Rams, might target him for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but the Jags ended up not taking any edge rushers in this range and just waiting till much later and then signing Emmanuel Ogbah. But Josiah Stewart, man, he's going to bring it as a run defender. He's a great speed rusher as well. I just think that he's going to be a high-quality Ram, and they've got a really good group up front now. Jarquez Hunter, another one who's tough as nails, the running back out of Auburn, somebody who I think is going to fit right into that running back room in a big way. Obviously, Kyron Williams had some injuries. They have Blake Corum, but I think he's going to fit in really well. Ty Hamilton, another good one out of Ohio State. Chris Paul in the 5th round. Chris Paul Jr., I loved that pick. I thought he should have been a day 2 guy, undersized, not like an elite athlete, but a good athlete, but he just makes plays all over the field. I think he's going to be really good for them. in LA. So really good draft class for me. And then the final one is the New England Patriots. And yeah, they might have had the best one. They might be number one. Obviously, Brugler has them number one. Everybody's talking about it. Huge draft class, talented draft class. Will Campbell, Travion Henderson, Kyle Williams, Jared Wilson, 4 offensive picks to help out your rookie or your second-year quarterback, your franchise quarterback, your young guy with the first 4 picks in the draft for you. I love them all. And Will Campbell. I know I said Josh Simmons is the number one pure offensive tackle. Will Campbell was still my number one offensive lineman. I think he's going to be awesome at the NFL level. His grit, his effort, his strain, his technical prowess, his strength, and then combine that with the athleticism that he showed at the combine, I think Will Campbell's going to have a really good career for them. Travion Henderson, one of my favorite players in this class. He's been one of my favorite players in college football for years. I've been waiting for him to enter the NFL. Explosive runner, low to the ground, low center of gravity, great pass protector, great pass catcher, and route runner. Complete back that I absolutely love for them. Kyle Williams, 5'11", 190, can run like the wind, great release packages off the line of scrimmage, great separator down the field, and if he doesn't get open, he's really good in the contested catch situations anyways. So Kyle Williams, I think, is a big-time addition to that receiver room. Then Jared Wilson at 95, I thought he should have been like a top 60 pick at least. Only started 1 year at Georgia, but size, length, athleticism, good tape. He's got it all. I mean, one of the really best athletes on the interior of the offensive line this year. Craig Woodson's a fun one from Cal. Cal had a lot of talented and productive secondary players this year. Then getting Joshua Farmer at 137, I thought was an extreme value. Braden Swinson at 146, getting those 2 guys, on the interior and then on the edge late in the draft, mid to late rounds there. I loved it. So, and obviously they went and got their kicker that they wanted, and long snapper super late in the draft, which is always hilarious. But this was a hell of a draft class. Massively upgraded the offense around Drake May. And then I think they massively upgraded the defense too. I really do when you look at Woodson, Farmer, and Swinson. So good on you, New England Patriots. Mike Vrabel, right? First draft there as their head coach. Obviously, they have the de facto GM there, Wolf, who's doing a good job. So really fun draft class. Going to continue talking about it a little bit this week, but like I told y'all earlier, I'm starting to look at 2026 and getting excited about it. I think we're going to look at some quarterbacks here pretty soon. Cade Klubnik will be among them. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoy the draft, you're in the right place. Rogue Football, all draft, all the time. Hit that like and subscribe button. Y'all have a good one.